Okay, guys, we're gonna give this a try. We're using StreamYard to try to do this live, and it's giving me some kind of wackiness here with the green screen. I don't know quite why it's so pixelated. I think maybe I need to try to upgrade my lighting here or something. I don't quite know what that's about, but it does keep disconnecting my audio for some reason. So we're gonna try this one while we're going through testing some different I guess different studios to host this under. So anyways, what I thought we should talk about with the current situation with this death fluid, I thought we'd just go live on it and see. I don't know if we got anybody coming in. Let me check and see. I'm trying to figure out how this posts. So if this doesn't post correctly, we'll probably end up doing this again. And again, I apologize if the screen is kind of pixelated. I'm not enough of a videographer to know what to do to fix that. So let's just go ahead and dive right in. Recently, over the last couple of days, we've seen lots of information coming out about this death fluid shortage, and it's actually looks like things are possibly getting worse for it because we know that China basically has said that they're not going to export the urea for it, and we know that that Russia, I guess they're not exporting it. And so those are some big problems, and we know that Australia apparently can't produce it. And I'm not 100% certain how it's produced because I know that what we use in our vehicles is synthetically produced, but it looks like Australia doesn't have the natural resources to be able to produce it, so they import everything. And so it's a bigger problem for them. They're certainly just going to be nice to see you, Joseph. 75 gallons. That's really interesting. I guess being a truck driver, you go through a lot. So if you don't hear it, or if you don't see the comment, Joseph said that he's a truck driver, about 75 gallons to stock up. And one of the issues with the death fluid is that it doesn't have a very long shelf life. And according to Peak, the shelf life, if it's kept above 50 degrees Fahrenheit, then the shelf life is about 1 year. If you store it below that, then you can hold it for about 3 years, supposedly. So that's for what that's worth. That's according to them. Now, I guess what happens is the urea breaks down, and it's actually not a problem of it being functional in your vehicle. Where it becomes a problem is that the sensors won't register it as being functional in the vehicle. So even though it's actually still technically working and still doing what it's doing, it's not operating at 100%. It may be operating at 97% efficiency or some wavering variable in there. And they won't not the CDC or the FDA, it's the EPA won't, way too many three-letter agencies in our government. They won't allow you to operate, basically. So what's going to happen is your vehicle will go into the limp mode, and we all know that. We all know that you're going to be depending on the vehicle 45 miles an hour or something like that, or less. And if you shut off the vehicle, you won't be able to turn back on again. So that's obviously a problem. It's not obviously conducive for truckers. Basically, it's designed to get you to the next gas station and get filled up if you just forget to top off. The other issue that you're going to see with this is I don't think it's going to be such an issue with long haul truck drivers, because I think that what's going to be a priority is the same. If you look at the FEMA priorities are always the truck stops. It's one of the reasons why we have diesel vehicles here is because FEMA prioritizes diesel vehicles during a catastrophe. Diesel's higher on the priority list. And in the military we use JPA, but it's effectively diesel fuel, and so they prioritize that above above normal petrol fuel. And so with that, I think what's going to end up happening is that they would just prioritize and make sure that we've got distribution there and that the truck drivers are okay. Where I think you'll hit it is, and where I think you'll have trouble is for the small farmers like me, because we don't have the connections. The big farmers, guys that are doing business and 50,000 acre lots of land, those guys have the connections to make sure that their fuel is getting delivered. I go through a 500-gallon tank every year, so for us, we're small potatoes on that. And now, luckily, again, we don't operate on DEF, but a lot of these guys do. And so the small farmers, they're just really small potatoes when it comes to being on any type of priority list. So it's going to affect some of the local food supply chains. It's going to affect transportation, obviously, because we've got ferries and trains and stuff like that that run off of this diesel, and so that's going to affect some of that. Um, the other thing that we're not considering is that it's going to make fertilizer substantially more expensive to get because the urea is used in the manufacturing of fertilizer. Now, there's a number of things that the urea is used in manufacturing, and it's used in lots of different chemical processes. But that's where we run into this issue is that it's used so widely that basically what's going to happen is it looks like it's going to become more expensive. And one of the subscribers posted earlier, and I guess they spoke with Peak to figure out how big of a deal this was. And Peak said, well, we're not anticipating any shortages, which, when the supply runs down is code for we're not anticipating any shortages because we're going to jack up the price until we offset that balance a little bit. Oh, sorry, Joseph, just saw that 14 gallons for every 5,000 miles of truck runs. Wow, that's substantial. And I don't know, as a long haul truck driver, well, I don't know. I guess I just assume that. I don't know exactly if that's what you are. I don't know how long it takes you to get to 5,000 miles. I would assume not very long at all. Um, what is that? I mean, that's probably what 10 or 20 days for you, I would think, to get there if you're doing a lot of long haul driving because you're doing several hundred miles a day. So, anyways, the DEF being used in all these different manufacturing areas. That's we've been hearing it. 4,000 miles away. Holy crap! That's a lot of driving, man. It's a lot of time in that seat. Y'all out there, I mean, I have sympathy for truckers because that's a hard job. I mean, and you hear people talk about this and like, oh, it's not hard to sit in there and sit on your ass for that time, but it's like, but you've never done it. You've never pulled a trailer that distance. It's stressful. I mean, we pull big trailers, and I'll tell you, I mean, I can't wait to get them offloaded. So I feel for you guys, man. That's a rough job. That's a hard job, and that's a lot of time away from your family, a lot of time in the seat of a truck. I would not enjoy it. So hats off to you, man. I appreciate that. But so I guess the big thing is where are we going from here and what can be done about it? The interesting thing is that this is really a self-inflicted injury with the DEF fluid. The injury is that it's the EPA that has mandated all this crap on there. The dealers have the capability of shutting the system down. And you'll see them do it. If you take your vehicle in to have it repaired, they can technically shut it down if they don't have the parts in. It's going to be a certain amount of time before you get it. You can ask the dealer to shut the system down, and they're allowed to do it for a short period of time. And there's a regulation on that, and the vehicle will work just fine, and you don't have it in. You're supposed to bring the vehicle back in, and I don't know. I assume they can probably put a timer on that so that it'll just turn back on at a certain point in time, and after 2 or 3 weeks or whatever, if you decide not to bring it back in, because I know that's what I would be inclined to do is to just not bring my vehicle back. But anyways, that's the deal. They can shut all these systems down. So the EPA, if they got ahead of this, could go out right now and start turning these off for the truckers and for the people that are using up the majority of that. So if you guys can't see the comment there, he's saying as a truck driver, he's using 14 gallons for every 5,000 miles. He's doing 4,000 miles a week. Let's just make the math easy. Say he's doing 15 gallons a week, so 60 gallons a month. And so as that one individual truck driver using that, I mean, multiply that by the amount of truckers that are on the road. And so if we just simply went in there and were able to shut those down to where they're not depleting the supply and made it to where any of the commercial drivers were not depleting the supply, really probably wouldn't affect the rest of us too bad. Or again, just change the parameters on it so that it accepts DEF fluid that lasts a little bit longer, and so that we're not having to buy DEF fluid as we need it, but that we can store it. It would be a huge benefit to these trucking companies if they could store up a bunch of DEF fluid and have that on their sites and in their yards, in their container yards and everything. I mean, that would be greatly beneficial to be able to have a supply in there that could get them through a month of any type of shortages or issues. They can't do that because the fluid goes bad, and it goes bad to the point to where it can run some real havoc on those systems. I've seen guys in the shop with $10,000 repair bills, and that's probably from a dealer and probably not the best one out there. So those are I think more the exception, not the rule. But the point being is that these guys are getting some pretty massive repair bills simply because this fluid was too old. And one guy I was talking to the other day, he said that on their truck, I guess, it was a fluid put in there from the dealer when they bought it, and it went bad before the year was up, and so they were actually still way under warranty, I guess, to be able to get things fixed. But it went bad in less than a year, just sitting in the tank. So if you're not driving it, you're running it bad too. So it's a real nightmare. And again, it's things put in place by people that just don't understand how the industry works. It's one of the most frustrating things in the world. When I was in the military, it's one of the most frustrating things in the world that you'd have people making decisions that are 3,000 miles away that have no clue what's going on. There's certain politicians up there that we won't get into too much detail, but certain politicians up there that would make decisions, and they have no business doing this because they just simply don't understand what's happening over there, and what I guess what the whole fight is about. They were completely just in over their head when it came to those conversations. So it was a real interesting thing about it that we dealt with, and that we start to find that that's in every aspect of politics. The more we dive into ranching, the more we realize that people making the decisions on ranching have never worked a ranch in their life. And there's some local USDA guys here that are awesome. And then we deal with people that are not local and that are just bureaucrats that seem to think they are God's gift to bureaucracy. And so in that regard, we deal with these same things with any type of regulation. So the DEF fluid was brought in place by the EPA basically to control the emissions of the diesel, but it didn't actually take into account the actual emissions of the diesel. The interesting thing about it was it was really just a way of trying to get rid of black smoke and get rid of that soot out of the smoke. And the whole idea is why we burn off that soot now with the secondary burners back there. And it was really just the way to appease people that didn't understand. People saw this black smoke coming out and they thought, well, it's horrible for the environment. It's way worse than our gasoline. And they've never actually dove into the numbers on it. So it was solving a problem that wasn't really that big of a problem in the first place. But and regardless of how you feel about the whole global warming issue, it was solving a problem that was just not that big of an issue. So anyways, guys, I'm not going to keep harping on this. The bottom line is that this is a self-inflicted wound that we are fully capable of fixing. The DEF fluid is something very, very simple to address, and that we can. The EPA can fix this for us. I mean, there's nothing to it for them to just make this to where the dealers can address it. The dealers can then send out technicians and start taking care of this before we get there. But the government, being the government, is going to be reactionary, and they're not going to address the problem in foresight. They're going to wait until there's a bigger issue, and then I guess we can do the Biden plan, right, and work 24/7. That's the best plan we can come up with. We'll do that one. So that's looks like that's where we're headed for this. Doesn't look like the government cares at all as far as getting us out of this before we get into it. And it hopefully will not be as bad, but it is probably going to raise the prices on the DEF fluid, which in turn raises the prices for trucking, which in turn raises the prices for everything. I mean, there's not anything here that we have in America that's not shipped on a truck. We just don't have the infrastructure to ship it any other way. Everything that we buy is shipped on a truck. I get it. We got rail cars and we got cargo freight, but everything is done via trucking. There's just nothing that isn't. It's the most efficient way in America at this time. And every time we have gas prices go up at the pump for diesel, people ignore the diesel prices, and the diesel prices are worse than the gas prices. And people ignore those diesel prices, which if somebody can explain that to me too, that's just mind boggling, because diesel is cheaper to manufacture than gas. And how is that more expensive is beyond me. It's cheaper and has less demand than gas, and it's still more expensive. Anyways, I won't keep harping on this. Really, I just wanted to get this video out, and I wanted to test this StreamYard to see, because StreamYard allows us to post this live across multiple platforms. And I'm not crazy about this. I'm really not crazy about the pixelation going on. The green screen behind me is really kind of distracting. So if you guys know of another streaming service that we can use that'll tie into to YouTube and to Facebook Live and all that stuff, and allow us to post on Rumble as well, and to get us on all of them all at once, that would be hugely beneficial if anybody has one like that they know of. In the meantime, we'll, I guess, keep messing with this on our trial period. That's why you see the little, he's up there. There he is, the duck. right there. That's why you see the duck, is because we're on the trial period trying to figure this one out. So I'm gonna let y'all go. Really appreciate y'all watching. Hey, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it, and get it out to some people that it might be useful for. You know, this one, like I said, we've harped on this death fluid enough, so we're probably not going to go into it anymore unless something new comes out on it. But really, I just wanted to go into the fact that the EPA can fix this tomorrow, and it's a very easy issue for them to fix if they're willing to just shut down the systems in the vehicles and allow that in there until we can get this under control. Or we can always start manufacturing our own urea. Again, I don't really know what goes into that because I'm not sure what is how to manufacture synthetic urea, but certainly worth considering to see if we can do that here. I don't know why we have to outsource that to China. So I'll let y'all go. I really appreciate you guys watching. I say this all the time, but you guys are just awesome. I'm so blessed to have you guys as subscribers, and all you guys watching and commenting on the videos. That just it really, I just can't thank you enough, guys. It's really awesome to have you guys here and to have these conversations. So we'll let y'all go, and we got more videos coming out tomorrow. We are probably going to go live here a couple more times this week just to keep testing out this system and see if we can't get this worked out. So thanks again for watching.